Oh, God. I don't know.
We have a great time here at the
All right, Alan, I need to get started. And this, you want to look that this is not focused at all.
It might be better. What? Mine away. Is it focused on her now?
I don't ask questions about things that haven't happened before.
Hello, everyone. Could you please stand up? Today, our opening song is going to be God Bless America. But before we get started, I'd like to welcome Jerry Spohr on the piano. If we can all give him a round of applause. And then Natalie's going to kick us off as soon as Jerry gets started. In the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
David Garshaw, will you please lead us in the opening prayer?
Gracious Lord, we thank you for this day and all the blessings that it brings, particularly this special occasion and the guests that we have. We ask, dear God, that you continue to encourage us, Kiwanians or not, to serve the needs of others, that indeed we may spread goodness throughout the world. Amen.
Amen.
So we have another special treat today. We're going to all sing. If you look at your programs, the community sing today is going to be Back Home Again in Indiana, and Jerry Spohr will lead us on piano. Introduce today. We'll get to our keynote speakers in a moment, but please allow me to introduce these guests. We have Charles Savage. Oh, and also you may stand or raise your hand, whatever you're more comfortable with, so we can recognize that you're here. 2016 Miss IU Justice Coleman. The wife of one of our guest speakers, Mrs. Julie Hammel. Community Foundation of Bloomington and Monroe County Development Director, Megan Neese. Community Foundation of Bloomington and Monroe County Program Director, Marcus Whited. Kiwanis Club of Central London President Winsome Okiki. Executive Director of Resource Development at Ivy Tech Community College, Susie Graham. Monroe County History Center Board President, Linda Steins. Monroe County History Center Board Past President, Glenda Murray. Bloomington Parks and Recreation Operations and Development Director, Dave Williams. Jillian Vigor, Communications Specialist. We also have Jerry Sport. You want to introduce your guest?
Oh, my son Dan Sport.
We also have a very special guest, the Honorable Mick Renison, Deputy Mayor of Bloomington. Thank you for coming. Alan, I know you have a few guests here as well. Would you like to make your introductions?
Yes, unfortunately, Brad Pitt and Angelina weren't able to make it. But I'm very happy to have my good friend, I need to move the camera around, huh? Mr. John Swanson. And a dear friend of mine, Oyibo Afuaku. And her husband, Osita Afuaku.
And we have a few more introductions to make, but we'll save that for later. I only have a few, oh, yes, Bob. Oh,
Robert Cunningham, formerly with the Architect's Office at IU.
thank you for coming. Are there any other guests that I missed?
I'm Charles Savage, and I forgot to stand. I was the first one.
Thank you for coming. So we only have a few announcements. Per usual, we do have our participation in the Harrodsburg Parade coming up on Saturday. So if any of our members would like to come, Miss IU, Justice Coleman will be there. We'll be walking in the parade. Tip-off is at 2 p.m. So if you're interested in walking with us, please let me know. Yes, Alan?
I'm just going to pass it around.
Oh, we're going to pass around a sign-up sheet. We also have a reminder that next week's program will be on about I-69, and we will be meeting in the solarium. We hardly ever meet there, so if you get here early, make sure you go to the solarium. I think that's all I have for announcements, but are there any happy dollars? Doug.
I have one. My grandson out in Colorado attended a North Conference High School Sports Award banquet the other night in Denver. He plays football and basketball. And this year, his senior year, he was chosen first team all-conference, first team all-area, and first team all-state in both sports.
Oh, wow.
He's done this by, even though he works part-time, and he carries a perfect 4.8 grade average.
Wow. Come to
Who
IU.
is this?
Yeah, he's been recruited, and he's going to go to Concordia University in Nebraska, a small school, but a very good school. During the banquet, the speaker was one of his all-time heroes, I guess, Peyton Manning.
Oh, wow.
And he was awarded the All-State Northern Conference Player of the Year.
That's amazing.
And Peyton gave him a couple of gifts as well. A framed signed jersey and a helmet.
Nice.
So, and we're leaving on Wednesday to go out for his graduation this coming next Saturday.
Well, I'd say that's a happy dollar Wednesday. here today, happy dollars are the way that we Kiwanians celebrate the big moments in our lives. It's also what we use as a fundraiser throughout the year. So it's just kind of a nice little fun thing that we do. Another fun thing that we do are club fines. Bob Anderson, fine master, are there any fines?
No fine.
All
I
right.
had one close, but he convinced me there's no badge for him, so I had to reload.
Okay. If you don't wear your badge, you have to pay a quarter. So
Still,
hefty fine. All right.
sure irritates people to have
So I think in the essence of time, we're going to move around your program just a little bit. And I would like to call forward my Bicentennial Gift Committee. So it would, yes, Bob? Oh, raffle, every time.
I thought we're supposed to do the raffle at the end. Go ahead.
You know what, that's a good idea.
No, because the book is one of the prizes. So we should raffle it off now.
All right. So every week we do a raffle. This week we are very fortunate because in addition to our 50-50 raffle, we also have this lovely Bicentennial Indiana Act 200 book to raffle off. So,
That was just like somebody on The Price is Right.
you can call me Vanna. Would you mind, Mr. Vanna?
I picked my own. Is that
You
okay?
can still win.
I can? I didn't.
Last three.
Last three. 393.
Oh, close.
Don, do you want the book? Or and you know what? That not a more perfect person could have won because Don Hall is a history professor at Ivy Tech. So
Thank you.
He is all about history.
Very much.
I think we'll do one more for the
Told you.
50-50. Let's see.
Give myself a shot.
395.
Ooh.
Oh, they're awfully close together. Wait a minute.
Here they are.
Did you pick up a four-leaf clover on your way here, Don?
No, I'm totally surprised.
Don is also one of our board members.
And I'm gonna go buy a lottery
Promise
ticket.
it's not him. Okay, he didn't win.
Don, what was it? Okay.
You have to get a joker to win the pot.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, now back to the program. Could I please have my Bicentennial Committee members up at the front? Alan Pease, Diana Fleur, Natalie Garshaw, and Doc Hornick. Pull up here. So first I'd like to introduce you to my committee. Doc Hornick and I had a meeting not very long ago, and he came up with an idea that I thought was absolutely perfect. He wanted to recognize the Indiana Bicentennial by presenting a bicentennial gift. And I'd like to let my committee do that, but in addition, I'd like to also call up Dave Williams. Will you please come forward?
So, Dwayne, affectionately known here as Doc Hornick, came up with a wonderful idea, and that was for the Kiwanis Club of Bloomington to do something special for the community, something that both children of the community, adults of the community, and everyone could enjoy. So he came up with the idea of the Kiwanis Bicentennial Garden to commemorate and celebrate the bicentennial of the state of Indiana. So we're very excited about that. What we've been able to do as well in working with Dave Williams and Joanna Sparks of the City Parks and Recreation Department, we have found a wonderful space near the Allison Jukebox by the
Being
Third
announced
Street
now
Park.
for the first time ever.
Actually, can I call one more person? Can Deputy Mayor please come forward? Where are you? Because while we tell you about this, I want you to, I want to be presenting this to the city, and there's no better person to represent than Deputy Mayor here. So if you could stand up here.
And Mick Reisen used to be the head of the Parks and Recreation, and now is our deputy mayor. But Dave Williams, Joanna, everyone has been extremely supportive of what we will be doing. So the Kiwanis Bicentennial Garden, we're happy to say, will be at the 3rd Street Park, right on the north side of the Allison Jukebox building. And Bybee Stone Company, Builders of America, their stone is all over America, from the Pentagon to Illinois to everywhere. They have beyond generously donated the cornerstone marker, which we would like to donate to you today. And Thomasina, I may need a little bit of assistance.
This is what it's going to look like eventually. And I think Diana and Dave, you'll present this to the deputy mayor.
It is quite heavy. So thank you, Bybee Stone, for donating this very generously, and we would like to present this to you today. Here.
That's the heaviest plaque.
Thanks to Bybee Stone as well.
We also want to note that our club was signing a 5-year agreement with Parks and Recreation to maintain this garden. And we co-sponsor, we're one of the few clubs in the state of Indiana where we co-sponsor the full gamut of K-family groups. We have 3 K-kids in elementary schools here in Bloomington, 2 builders clubs in middle schools, and 2 Key clubs, one here in Bloomington and one in Ellettsville. And those kids will be helping us with this garden, and they're going to be making stepping stones to go around this plaque, each one representing K kids, another one representing builders clubs, and another one representing Key clubs. And of course, Key club is high school, builders club is junior high, and I think you figured out what K kids are.
Alan, you should also note that Wilbur Bybee was a long-term Kiwanian.
Wilbur Bybee was a long-term Kiwani. And you know, as a matter of fact, George Bybee did mention that when we've been working with him on making this donation. Now we're working with someone to engrave the stone, and Thomasina did a rendering you saw up here for us. So this will be a project throughout this summer and into the fall.
And it will, in the garden will be native plants of Indiana, flowering
Right.
plants as well. And one of the projects is to bring back the monarchs. So we will be including milkweed and a lot of plants there that will help achieve that as well. So,
And Mr. Williams, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, other than to thank Kiwanis and the committee for working with us. As Mick Reisen knows, for years we've developed partnerships with community players, individuals, volunteers, service organizations, and this is the lifeblood of our department to reach out to those that want to improve their community. So we're very anxious to work with you, and thank you very much for the support of our process.
Thank you. And Deputy Mayor?
I want to thank the Kiwanians for not just this project and the long-term impact it'll have on 3rd Street Park, which is really Waldron Hill and Buskirk Park for you historians in the room, but for all the great work you do for our community. It's really important that service clubs do what you do, and we appreciate the long-standing contributions you have made and will make in the future. So thank you very much for that on behalf of Mayor Hamilton and myself as a former Parks Director and in a new role for just the last 4.5 months. So I can assure you that this person and the staff of Parks will take care of this, and you'll be proud of the end result. Thanks for the sweat equity that goes into the part of this as well. Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much.
So if you can't tell, we're all really excited about this garden. I'd like to next call up our program director, Alan Pease.
Okay, I got to focus the camera first.
Well, if you come up here, I'll focus.
Okay. Oh, I know what I'm doing.
you will be introducing our guest speakers for today.
Everything has come together so nicely when we set out to do this about 6 or 7 weeks ago. And again, it was Doc Hornick's idea with the garden, and things just developed and developed. And I was going to do a long, flowery introduction of our two guest speakers, but I found out everybody knows Perry, and there couldn't be a better person to become the executive director of the Indiana Bicentennial Commission other than Perry Hammel. Come on up here. And if you don't know who Bob Hammel is, you don't deserve to live in Monroe County. Mr. Bob Hammel.
Bob, take over. I'm just going to sit back down.
It's all yours.
It's all mine. Thanks for letting me come today. This is, Bloomington's a favorite place of mine. I'm a Purdue graduate, have 2 degrees from there. I like to come down, see how the other half lives, try to steal some of your sports athletes. It hasn't worked for us as well. I walked into a meeting the other day. Someone said, well, tell us a joke. And I said, Purdue basketball. They said, that's not a joke. I said, Purdue football. And they said, oh, that is a joke. We can go on now with the rest of the speech. So I heard I could talk for about an hour, but y'all gonna leave at 1 o'clock. So I'll make it even quicker than that. Let me just give you a few highlights about what's happening. Is this the coolest year in Indiana history or what? This is our 200th birthday. We kicked off on Statehood Day. When was Statehood Day? Who knows when Statehood Day is? Bob knows. You can't ask Bob. Pick a month. December. Pick a day. 11. December 11th, Statehood Day, 1816, we became a state. So last year on December 15th, we kicked off the bicentennial year, and we're celebrating and doing activities this year very much like what you all do as Kiwanians and in your service to your community. We're trying to figure out how to be of good service to the state at this special time. And we're 206 days from actual statehood days. So stay tuned, lots of things going on. I'll give you some highlights. Our commission was, don't worry about all the names are too small, but our commission was established in 2011 by Governor Daniels. Lee Hamilton, a very local person, wonderful statesman, and Becky Skillman, also very close to here, and wonderful statesman, are our co-chairs. We have 15 individuals that serve on the commission. Steve Ferguson from Bloomington also serves. The First Lady is our official ambassador and is spending a lot of time around the state working especially with school children and with arts projects across the state. And then we have a dedicated group of people, business leaders, nonprofit leaders, a couple of government leaders who are on there. They've met every 6 weeks since February of 2012 to try to figure out how we can make this day, this time important. And really we had 2 major goals. One is that the state needs to be in a grassroots mode this year. The bicentennial is not about Marion County. It's not about the State House. It's not even really completely about 200 years. You know how it is when you have a birthday with a 0 at the end? And I see some of you have had a lot of experience with birthdays with 0 at the end. But I take a moment and kind of think back, where have I been? Where am I? What do I want to become? And that's what we're doing in Indiana. So it's really about 92 counties and 560 communities, 6.5 million people. That's what we need to do. And also as we celebrate this year, and there'll be some big celebrations, we try to think about what we can leave as a legacy. How will we remember this time in history? So in 1916, we take a lot of advice from 1916. If you were here in 1916, I'd be C.J. Woodard, and I'd be trying to figure out how to get you involved because Monroe County was not that involved in the centennial, so we'd have a little bone to pick. But we had a couple of big legacies that were left in 1916. Does anybody know? One of them is pretty close to here. Yes, sir.
State flag.
State flag. Martinsville, Indiana, the Hadley flag. Thanks to the DAR and the legislature in 1915, they decided to have a competition for a flag. I don't know what we did for 100 years without a flag. My guess is kind of like the Hoosiers were saying they had a pair of bloomers on a pole and they would use those as they marched into battle. I don't know. But we got the Hadley flag. I think if you look at it, it's one of the most beautiful flags in America. With the Torch of Liberty, 18 stars and a crown around it, and the crowning glory of the 19th star, Indiana. Second thing that happened in 1916 was we got our state park system. thanks to Colonel Richard Lieber, Gene Stratton Porter, Teddy Roosevelt, a number of others, we got our state park system kicked off. We had 2 state parks that were gifts to the state from 1916. First one was
McCormick's Creek.
McCormick's Creek. Second one was Turkey Run. I brought with me today a number of posters from the 100th running of the 500. I hope when you leave you'll just take one. But do you know the connection between the state park system and the 500? It's a long, long story. I won't be able to tell you, but at the end of the day, part of the proceeds from the 1916 running of the Indy 500 helped to buy Turkey Run State Park.
Nice.
So that goes back all the way back to the Fisher family in 1916. So what are we going to do this year? What are we going to leave behind? So we have some things that we're working on. The biggest one is our Children's Initiative. We hope that the real legacy of this year is Indiana's children, their health and well-being. We have 225 projects across the state right now working on children, from infants in Orange County with the Bicentennial Baby Bundles, all the way through college students and College Compact, as we're looking at how we can get our college students more engaged in their communities. We thought when we started we would have a couple of hundred projects, one in every county. Next week, tomorrow now, tomorrow we have a commission meeting. We'll have our 1,300th project endorsed across Indiana. Our 1,000th project was a project from the Boy Scout Council of Indiana. They're making 3,000 cardinal nesting platforms to place all over the state. Cardinals don't nest in trees or in boxes, they nest close to the ground. And these are just small wooden platforms they can build their nests on. And we thought that was really appropriate that was our 1,000th project. We'll also be shooting some PSAs tomorrow that we hope will be on the media at the end of the month to talk about how everybody in Indiana can be part of a children's initiative this year. Read to a child, take a child to a park, be part of a child's life and help build a better Indiana. And you can see we do a lot of things with colorful maps, that the darker the blue, the more projects we have, and Monroe County is very, very well represented in our projects for children. The Bicentennial Torch Relay is coming up. This is an Olympic-style torch relay. It will start in Corydon on September 9th. It will travel 37 days, 2,300 miles through every county seat, hundreds of cities and towns, parks, communities, recreational centers, and you will get to see it along the way. This is a momentous, the Indiana Office of Tourism Development's working on this. It's a huge project, and you've been involved in it. Many of you have been involved in kind of preaching to the choir today. We did have the torch designed by Purdue University. That's what they do. The Olympic torches are 30 inches tall. That's about 30 inches. That's a big torch. This will be out of aluminum. Alcoa is working with us on a special alloy. It will weigh less than 4 pounds when it's fully loaded. It'll run on Indiana biofuel. A combination of E85 and biodiesel will power the torch. It is produced, so it has Wi-Fi, it has cameras front and rear, it'll be hooked up to GPS, it will post a photo every 15 minutes to the cloud. You'll be able to track it on an app on your cell phone. So if you're wandering Indiana this summer between September and October, you'll know where the torch is real time and you can follow it around the state. So it's going to be exciting. We actually have 3 torches. So this is our big torch, and you can see that's Becky Skillman. It's half her height. So those of you know how tall Becky is, you can see right there how big it is. We have a second torch that's smaller, about 20 inches tall, LED lighted, so that children, the elderly, some of our Hoosier heroes can carry it. And the third torch is my favorite because we're asking counties to think of how they would convey the torch uniquely. And our third torch we call the Racer. It can be fastened to things, and we have tested the flame at 200 miles an hour. So yes, it will be on an Indy car, and yes, it will go through crane. I'm not sure exactly how yet, but it's going through crane. It'll be on a biplane at Wilbur Wright's birthplace. It's going to be on a hovercraft at Terre Haute, the largest manufacturer of hovercraft in America. Flat-bottom boats and Haynes automobiles and Humvees and Studebakers, so we can show the world the uniqueness that is Indiana. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for that. In honor of nature, Lilly Endowment came forward in 2011 and said we need to do something in nature as we're getting ready for the bicentennial. And so rather than build a new state park, they came up with money the state matched to become the Bicentennial Nature Trust. You have 6 projects just here in Monroe County in the Bicentennial Nature Trust. What we offered were matching funds to help bring more land into the public domain. And you can see, that's a really scary map. It looks like a clown face to me. I've seen it too many times. But the large yellow circles are 20-mile radii from projects. We have 183 projects across the state. The $29.2 million we spent of matching money has generated $40 million of private investment. And we have secured over 15.5 square miles of land in Indiana. But in small pieces, pocket parks and squared off additions to nature centers and butterfly gardens. In Knox County, we bought the front 9 of a golf course that had gone under. And golf courses make perfect parks. Maybe that's why we built them all in the 60s. You know, the cart paths are perfect for bicycles. The detention pond, once it was cleaned, is now a fishing pond. And the green looks like where I usually hit my ball now. It's rough about this tall. So, you know, you can feel at home there still as a golfer. So that's kind of our nature project. Lots of things going there. We do have some of our products. I mean, we're not in the retail business, but there are certain things you do for centennials. You do a book, and we have a spectacular book. One of them, you know, Mr. Hall has, you can see, is going to be wonderfully used. But we did with a little bit of a twist. We didn't hire photographers, we sent word out across the state. We had 6,300 photos submitted by just us in 30 days. We reached out to 14 different authors, including Mr. Hammel and others across the state, to write about short essays on the things that are uniquely Hoosier: sports, business, religion, children, that people could have a chance to read. Our introductions by Dick Lugar. We have every living governor, God rest his soul, Governor Whitcomb. This may have been one of his last interviews in a book. And we have 60 voices from Indiana, just short pieces, from a 10-year-old soccer player to a 103-year-old lady. And they talked just a little bit about their Indiana experience. The young girl who was a soccer player said, this was in March, April of last year, they were talking to her, she said, I just hope that someday I'll be able to say that a girl from Indiana kicked a goal in the World Cup. And before we went to press, in the last review, was when an Indiana resident kicked a goal in the World Cup, and we were able to put that in there, and her dream came true on this day in 2015. So that's kind of cool. We have a medal. You have to do medals. I have a 1916 medallion. There's one from the sesquicentennial, many of you probably have seen. In 1916, the medal was a competition. It was won by a young orphan in Terre Haute. Her name was Janet Scudder. She went on to be quite famous, lived most of her life in Paris. This year we did a competition. This is the winning design, and I'll wager that most of you have this artist's work in your pocket or purse. Donna Weaver's from Vivi in Switzerland County. She's quite an artist. She does wax sculptures like cameos, but she also sculpted the new Jefferson nickel and 12 of your commemorative state quarters working for the U.S. Treasury, and she's the one who sculpted this design for us. June 7th, we get our stamp. That's only like 3 weeks away. So if you are a philatelist or no one, you want to come to the State House, 10 o'clock in the morning in the Rotunda, we will release this stamp. This scene was shot just north of Milford, Indiana, by an Indiana Wesleyan University student. And the U.S. Postal Service will be using that as one of its 6 commemorative stamps for this year. So we're excited about that on June 7th. Our flags are flying. Here's ours flying over the State House. Thanks to P.E. McAllister, many of you may know P.E., we were able to give a bicentennial flag to every community in Indiana and every county council in Indiana. So on December 11th, they raised the flag, they read a proclamation, and now all over Indiana, we're flying the flag of the bicentennial. Speaking of the bicentennial, because we have that bison on our state seal, we're doing a project with the Indian Association of United Ways. You have your bison already in Monroe County. Have you seen it yet? Pretty sure it's here.
It's here, but
Susie has it. It's in her garage.
It's in her garage. That's right. His name is Buddy, and Buddy will going to be finished getting dressed next month, and then we'll bring him out in June.
His debut.
Yeah.
So the bison come to us in white. The one that we had ours painted. When we first started trying to shop this idea around, because we thought it would be very unique, we didn't know what was going to happen. So we had ours painted bison-like. This is the only thing we could not source in Indiana. You'd think we could find bison in Indiana. There are real ones in Indiana, but not many fake ones. So they actually come from South Dakota. They come 18 at a time on an open trailer with a big sign that says, "Go into Indiana for the bicentennial." We have 125 bison around the state. 62 counties are participating. We think this is the largest statewide public art project that's ever been held in America. Usually they're a city or a locality. Ours are all around the state. We're trying now to see how many we can have come to your state fair this year, which will also be themed for the bicentennial. We'll have bicentennial activities every day of the 17 days of the fair. That's fun. But we don't really do stuff. We endorse things, but we wanted to support our Indiana artists and craftsmen. People want t-shirts and bumper stickers, and I'm just not in that business. So we've done Bicentennial Marketplace. It's on our website, but if you're an Indiana craftsman or artist, I think we have 5 from Monroe County that are on there now. and you do something that's related to Indiana, John Bundy is Bundy Ducks. You may have heard of him. He's one of the most famous carvers of decoy art ducks now in the country. Has done his little Indiana black walnut woods bison. We have jewelry, we have t-shirts. But it's our way, we don't make any money off of it. It's our way of supporting Indiana's artists and craftsmen. What do we have? Who was the person that called in yesterday, Jillian, that wanted to do
chicken watering buckets?
Automatic chicken watering buckets with the bicentennial logo. Now it's kind of a stretch, but I guess it's sort of an art form. He makes them himself from recycled materials. So if you're interested in an automated mechanical chicken waterer, or if you have an automated mechanical chicken, you might find that on our bicentennial marketplace. So there you go. But we have a lot of fun projects. So besides the bicentennial, we're working with the Bicentennial Ale competition with the Indiana Brewers. Our official beer of the bicentennial celebration is brewed by Upland Brewing, Champagne Velvet. If you don't know the story, look up the Champagne Velvet story. It's a wonderful Indiana story. We're working with the apiaries and trying to help with the honeybees in Indiana. They're calling it their bicentennial. We have a group working on restoring headstones in cemeteries across Indiana, which is, of course, their bicentennial project. We're working with Central Indiana Biking Association and the Indiana Tandem Riders on their bike centennial. So if you ride 200 miles in state parks, you get a special jersey this year. And one of my favorites in Jackson County, they're trying to put together a group of 200 sets of twins for the bicentennial. So, we don't want to take everything seriously. On our website, indiana2016.org, if you haven't been on there, it's like history porn. Once you get on there, you won't be able to stop. All 1,200 projects are on there. The other 100 will be added on Monday. You can search by county, by keyword. You can see the 28 projects that are here in Monroe County and around you. We have a calendar with 600 events on it. So if you want to go someplace some weekend, there's something going on that has to do with the bicentennial and celebrating the joy that is Indiana, that you can find that very simply. We hope that you will. We have some big celebrations coming up. So at the end of the torch relay, can I have 2 more minutes? Okay. At the end of the torch relay on October 15th, mark this in your calendar, come to Indianapolis. We're doing the Hoosier Homecoming. In 1916, I wish I had like an hour and a half. There's so much cool stuff. In 1916, we celebrated the bicentennial in October, not in December. Why? It wasn't the squirrel migration.
World War I?
Wasn't World War I, but no, somebody said the weather. It took 5 days to get to Indianapolis from parts of Indiana in 1916. So they did it when the weather was still good, when you could still get apples off the tree to eat on your way, and maybe a little apple jack on your way back home. So we're doing the same thing. They called it Hoosier Homecoming. And there actually is a book that Booth Tarkington and James Whitcomb Riley and Governor Ralston and others did to encourage people, sometimes called Hoosieroons back then, there's another thing for you, to come back home. So we're doing ours at the end of the torch relay. And what do you do when people come home? We're hoping to put together the largest collection of historic reenactors ever assembled in Indiana, all with Indiana ties, all the way back to our Revolutionary War period and up to modern day. Garfield's coming, Clifford the Big Red Dog, who's from Kokomo, Clifford will be there, the Colts will be there, we'll have a lot of entertainment activity, but a lot of reenactors. Lincoln will be there, John Hay, John Hay was from Salem and was Lincoln's personal assistant, Secretary of State for 2 presidents. So we hope people will bring their family and learn more about Indiana history. We're also doing a big food experience because we want people to tell stories during the bicentennial. Tell those family stories that take more than 140 characters and 2 thumbs to tell. And we think food is the avenue to generate those stories. What's the oldest recipe that your family has? Where did it come from? And what about those people who cooked that food? So we're going to have a huge collection of food trucks, all bringing a food that says homecoming to them. And then working with the Indiana Humanities, we're going to have kind of a food experience there that will be fun. And then we'll have entertainment. The state offices will be open. We're hoping to have reenactors in a number of the state offices doing tours. There's a gentleman up in Dana who's written a one-man play about Ernie Pyle that just debuted off Broadway. He's coming to do that in one of our auditorium facilities that day. So Elfrey, all open to the public, so come on October 15th. And then Statehood Day is actually on Sunday this year, and we're having our big event will be at the State Fairgrounds Coliseum, where they hosted Hoosier Homecoming in 1916. Not in that building, but at the State Fairgrounds. So this will be really interesting. This will be a celebration and a remembrance service, and also kind of the ceremonial passing of the torch. Hunter Smith Band will be our primary, excuse me. entertainer that day. We'll have groups of children from all over the state, Voices of Unity from Fort Wayne. They won an international competition for singing, all inner city kids from Fort Wayne, drumline from Anderson. Lots of things going on, a lot of really powerful, inspirational speakers. That will be broadcast for us as well, simulcast by WTIU and the WFYI group in Indianapolis. And we moved it up from 10 to 12. It's 10 to 12, it's free, it's at the fairgrounds because the Colts have a home game on December 11th. So the Colts are agreed to do some activities both before the game and during halftime. So we hope to have national exposure we might not otherwise have gotten, at least in the same vein in Indiana, during the Colts games. So lots of excitement, lots of things. These are where our legacy projects are across the state, and it doesn't matter much except really the blue ones are the ones that have the most, the red ones are the ones who have the fewest. And look at the northern tier of Indiana. Aren't they rocking this? And then down here in the blue in the middle, we also have Monroe County. You have 28 legacy projects, 6 bicentennial nature trust projects. You're at 34. You're in our top 5% of all counties in Indiana. You've really embraced the bicentennial. Why is that important? The numbers don't matter. Why that's important? Because that allows all of your residents and some from the surrounding counties just have a chance to participate in this experience, to have some fun, to be thoughtful, to tell stories, to plan for the future, because a number of our projects are also forward-reaching, especially with children. How do we make this next generation, the next 50 years, a great time for Indiana children? And that's important. So there's still ways to get involved. We do more endorsement projects. There's ways of connecting with, this is what you'll find on our website. I don't have time to do it. But you already connect with kids. But maybe do a book reading this fall at a local school. We have a book that was done by Butler students that's geared towards 4th grade. I'll give you copies if you want to take it in and read it at a school in a reading enrichment program or a tutorial program afterwards. Go in and sing a song, do a skit, take them to a park. This summer, June 4th and 5th, the state parks will roll back their admission to what it was in 1916. What do you suppose it cost?
5 cents.
More than that?
Admission to what?
How much admission to the state parks in 1916?
Free.
No, 10 cents. Colonel Richard Lieber felt very strongly, now you're seeing some of this happening in Illinois, that everybody needed to pay a little bit of something. 10 cents in 1916 was not cheap. And it's actually a little bit less than a little bit more than what the state park costs now, adjusted for inflation. But he felt that everybody should have a part of it, because he said, when you don't pay for something, you disregard it. So it's easier to throw your trash out, or if you don't own part of that. Illinois may not open their state parks this summer because of their situation financially. Ours have always been open. 16.5 million people last year. So 10 cents a person in 1916, or 25 cents a wagon load if you went through. So grab your wagon, come back this year and spend a quarter and go to your state parks. You can also go to any library in Indiana, and all libraries have a state park pass. You can check it out just like a book and go to the state park for free. So
nice.
Take advantage of your state parks, especially around here. You just have some of the most beautiful land in Indiana surrounding you. Take a kid on a birding expedition. Go up to the Loblolly Swamp. Take him to a play. John Weikart will do a play for you, surely, if you talk to him enough. And he can do a one-man performance of Wilford Brimley Talks to Children. So that could work. But hopefully just be inspired. You can always reach us here on our website, or that's me directly. That's my personal phone number if you have ideas or thoughts about the bicentennial. It's a wonderful time to be a Hoosier. It's a wonderful time to be part of this. And all these projects are shining little points of light across the state on the great things that are happening and the wonderful people we have here. And you're a big part of that as Kiwanians. So thank you for what you do. Thanks for letting me come today and being part of the bicentennial. Thank you. If you want to buy a book, because of Alan, we don't do retail, but we bought some books and some flags, and we're giving you a 10% discount, which means that's what they cost us. If you want a book, you have to write me a check. But if you can write me a check for $38.48 to the Indiana Historical Bureau, we will sell you a book today. Or if you don't have a check, Thomasine will track you down and we'll trust you. The flag sets are $4 a piece if you want them. And Bob, is one of our authors, has also agreed to sign. We'll sign the books for you if you'd like today. So we'll have those after the program is over. Bob, do you want to make some comments? I talked way too long, but...
Yay!
Well, I really just want to say that it was a real honor to be a part of this whole project. And I think I was selected because I've lived through most of the bicentennial and covered it. But it was a privilege to be part of it. And I was at a program in Huntington last night, a bicentennial event, and that went very well. This is a fun time, and I think we all really relish this. I wasn't aware of the one-man play on Ernie Pyle. I'm going to pursue that to see that. God, we'll bring that to Bloomington. That's one that I think we can have a lot of fun with. But the consciousness that this raises of what we've all inherited, what we've all had a part of, and somewhat taken for granted. This is the kind of thing that brings it all into play, and I'm grateful to Perry and the people that spearheaded the whole attempt to make us feel like a part of history. And buy some books.
I'd like to add that it's very gracious of the Bicentennial Commission to give everybody here today the discount on the book. That's highly unusual, and we hope you take advantage of it. I want to ask everybody something. The book is in 14 sections, as Perry said. Now, which section do you think Mr. Hammel was asked to write his essay about? Gardening. Yeah, the history of Hoosier sports in the last 200 years. And I think Bob was at the first game played.
Most of them, yeah. They gave me 1,200 words to write about 200 years. That's six words a year. And you know, there were IU basketball games that I wrote 3,000 words on. So it was somewhat difficult, but it was fun.
We're going to do the book signing right up here at this table.
Any member that does not have a checkbook, we'll buy the book for you and we'll put it on your bill.
Okay.
So if somebody is in need of a book and not having your checkbook, let me know.
Can we give another round of applause for that presentation, please? I've had a lot of fun today, and I want to thank all of you special guests for coming, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad I didn't forget today.
I can do it. Yeah, I've got a lot. Yes, it sounds really good.
Can you shut that off?